Please be seated. First of all, can you all hear me okay? Okay, all right, good. Even way in the back, that's good. Our sermon topic today is surprised by faith. So first of all, though, thank you for coming out and braving the heat or watching online to hear the gospel. Have you ever been surprised? I mean, really caught off guard. So, for example, for me, maybe you're at Costco with just a few items and then you see the total amount due on your way out and you say, did I really buy that much? I'm sure it has something to do with the word bulk. Or maybe the credit card bill shows up and a secret shopper to you means someone else has been using your credit card, but no, it's just been you. Sometimes surprises hurt, especially when they're financial, but not all surprises, of course, are painful. Some are powerful, some are prophetic, and some are packed with faith. And today's story, we meet the prophet Jeremiah again, and he's not standing in a checkout line. He's in a city that is under siege. The Babylonians are attacking. They are right at the door. Jerusalem is, who knows how long, not far from collapse. And right in the middle of that disaster, Jeremiah gets a message. His cousin wants to sell him a piece of land. I wonder what his relationship with his cousin is like whenever I hear this story. Now, by law, Jeremiah has the first rights to buy that land, so that way it stays in the family. But buying property now, while the enemy is literally knocking at the gate, really does not make much sense and really makes no financial sense. It's like investing in a business the day before they're going to go bankrupt and everybody knows. But Jeremiah, he buys the land. So why does he do this? Because he isn't making a real estate or a financial decision, he's making a faith decision. His purchase is a prophetic act, a bold sign that even though Jerusalem will fall, God's promise will stand. And Jeremiah trusts in the word of the Lord. Houses and fields and vineyards shall again be bought in this land, from Jeremiah chapter 32, which you heard earlier from Mark Clark. And this act, what he did, it must have shocked everyone. A prophet who's telling them destruction is coming and then invests in a land that's about to be overrun and destroyed. But that's what faith does. Faith sees differently. Faith invests in what the world has given up on, and faith surprises. Jeremiah's actions were not just hopeful, they were defiant. He stood against King Zedekiah, who refused to listen to him. He purchased the land because this is the land promised to them by God. He buys the land as a movement of resistance against Babylonian imperialism. And Jeremiah buys the land because he follows God and not the world. And in doing so, he teaches us something. When we choose to follow God in faith, the results will surprise people. And sometimes they will even surprise you and me. And that kind of surprising faith still happens today. I was speaking this week with a man who was visiting Cleveland from out of state, and while he's waiting at a hot dog stand, he noticed different people from different cultures, backgrounds, accents, laughing and eating together. He was amazed at the diversity and the unity around a hot dog stand. He said, "You don't see that where I'm from," he said. But here's the thing. Many of us don't even notice anymore because we're used to it. That man saw something that others overlook. Just like Jeremiah, he saw what could be where he's from, perhaps, not just necessarily what was. God calls us to see the world through eyes of faith. I wasn't surprised with the man's story, but I know that it surprised him because he brought it up more than once. And God calls us, though, to see with those same eyes of faith. Some people see when we see eyes with eyes of faith, some people just see differences between people. Others people see unity. fellowship, and the spirit of work in humanity. Where some people see security and national and military might, others find security and peace in the eyes of Christ of our neighbor. When some see individuals to blame for their lot in life, others see people hurting and suffering, and children without basic things like food and safety. Where some see personal achievement as individual wealth and success, others invest in God's promises and watch as they unfold in their lives and in the lives of others. Like Jeremiah buying land when the conquerors are knocking at the door, because one day houses and fields and vineyards shall again be bought in this land. And just like Jeremiah, we are invited to buy land, even when it seems foolish, because we believe that restoration is coming. Now, early on in Jesus' ministry, he returned to his hometown, and he was surprised. But he was surprised by their unbelief. And it feels like that so many times today in life, especially the more I spend time in ministry and then step outside these walls. I'm surprised by people's unbelief. Because the opposite is quite true, that God continues to surprise. And the surprises are found in the ordinary events of life. A patient's wife shared with me how a few days after surgery, a nurse simply came into the room, answered questions, removed bandages, and repositioned their loved ones so they'd be more comfortable. And the wife was overjoyed because her husband was simply seen and cared for. Nothing miraculous there, just simple, ordinary things. It doesn't take much to find and share Christ in the ordinary events of life. And when we do that, we are purchasing land, even though the enemy may be knocking at our door. So let me ask, where is God inviting us to buy land? Where is God inviting us or asking us to act in faith, even when it doesn't make sense or seem hopeless? Maybe it's trusting a relationship that can heal. Maybe it's forgiving someone who hasn't asked yet for forgiveness. Maybe it's giving generously when the numbers just don't add up. Maybe it's showing up again and again and again for someone who's struggling, even when we don't know what to say. Because really what we have to say so often is not so important. It's just being there and being present. We have to remember that Jesus tells us in John chapter 12, verse 31, "Now is the judgment of this world. Now the ruler of this world will be cast out." Evil doesn't win. The enemy does not own the land. God does. So look for Christ in the ordinary, act in faith, buy the land, and be surprised by what God does next. Amen.